Hello, and welcome to another video of this channel, Historical History. Now, last time I forgot to give my name. My name is Jake, by the way. On July 2nd, 1881, the President of the United States was going to the train station. And at the train station, he was getting ready for a vacation to New Jersey. And it was going to be his first vacation as a president, and it was going to be amazing for him. He was going to see family, and it was great. But then, a mysterious man, walks up, very polished, and he has a revolver in his pocket. And he walks up near the President of the United States. And he takes out his revolver, and all of a sudden, everything changes for the President. Now, before we go further, it helps to have some context. Now, in 1880, the people decided to nominate him for president. Now, Garfield didn't really want to be president, but everybody else wanted him to, so he ran. And he was able to win by just 10,000 votes. Now, in the days leading up to the election, a man was supporting Garfield and made speeches for him to the public. His name was Charles Guiteau. And Charles Guiteau really needed a job. He was a man who was the opposite of Garfield because he had failed at many things. He had tried to become a lawyer, but he failed. He tried to become a bill collector, so he failed. He tried to become a salesman, but he failed. And he tried to be a preacher, but he again failed. While Garfield succeeded, Guiteau failed. He was a very poor man. Things were not going well for him. But he supported Garfield. And after Garfield won, Charles Guiteau sent him a letter asking to be sent to Austria to be an ambassador. But he got no reply. So he sent again, asking if he could be sent to Paris for a diplomatic position there. But again, he got no reply. And Guiteau became angry. He was upset. And he decided that he was going to kill the President of the United States. He thought that that was the only way to keep the United States together and to unite the Republican Party. So he went and bought a gun. And the gun he bought, he thought would look good in a museum after he would kill the president. However, he did not know how to use a gun, so he had to practice. And he practiced on a plant. And he was getting ready to kill the president, but he wanted to do it in a different way than most people. Guiteau wanted to only shoot the president, and he did not want to kill any innocent bystanders. So a few times in the months of May and June, Guiteau was standing right near the president with his gun, but he didn't shoot him because there were other people around who could just walk right by, and Guiteau did not want to kill anybody other than Garfield. However, on July 2nd, 1881, Guiteau got his chance. He had been stalking the president for months and knew that he was going to be going on a vacation to New Jersey, and he would be at the Baltimore railway station. So Guiteau was there ready right in the morning as Garfield got out of his stagecoach and went over to the railway station. And as Garfield was waiting for the train, Guiteau got out his revolver and fired 2 bullets. The first bullet grazed his elbow, but the second bullet hit him right in the back. And Garfield fell to the floor. He was in pain. But the bullet was not fatal, and luckily it missed all of his vital organs. Before Guiteau could get a third shot, officers had tackled him to the ground, and he was arrested. The first person there to help Garfield was Abraham Todd Lincoln. Now, you may be familiar with this name, and yes, it is Abraham Lincoln's son. Now, Garfield was taken up to a nearby room at the train station, and this is where the doctors made their first mistake. The doctors decided to put their unwashed hands inside Garfield's body. They didn't have any gloves on, their hands were dirty, but what they did was they gave Garfield an infection through his stomach, which would ultimately lead to his death. Garfield never did board that train because he was taken back to the White House. Now, once he was at the White House, the doctors tried all kinds of maneuvers to get the bullet outside of his body. But they put unsterilized tools inside Garfield's wound, and it didn't help. Garfield just got worse and worse and worse, and he started to lose lots of weight. And in fact, by the time that he died, he had lost 40% of his body weight because of what the doctors had done to him. He got worse and worse in the first few weeks, and it was made worse because the summer of 1881 was very hot, and temperatures reached almost 100 degrees a lot of times. And during that time, there was no air conditioning. So some army physicians had a device that they could try to cool off the air inside the White House. But they couldn't get it down to a comfortable temperature, unfortunately. So Garfield continued to suffer. Now, it was around this time that the physician who was treating Garfield, Dr. Bliss, it's kind of a weird name, but he chose the right profession. Dr. Bliss called Alexander Graham Bell. Bell, who had invented the telephone, immediately rushed over to the White House. And he was carrying a metal detector which he had invented years ago. And Dr. Bliss wondered if the metal detector could actually help heal Garfield and take out the bullet. So Alexander Graham Bell decided to try. But Dr. Bliss only wanted Garfield to be inspected on his right side because he was sure that the bullet was on that side. So Alexander Graham Bell used his metal detector to try to see where the bullet was. And he got these weird signs from the metal detector. And he wasn't really sure if the bullet was on his right side or not. But it was clear that his metal detector was malfunctioning and he could not save Garfield. Now it turns out that the bed that Garfield was on was attached to steel springs. And those springs actually malfunctioned the metal detector so then it couldn't properly search for the bullet. Now it turns out that the bullet was on the left side of Garfield's body, so Dr. Bliss was wrong again. Dr. Bliss did not make Garfield feel bliss. So Garfield again continued to suffer and suffer and suffer, and as the weeks went by, he got worse and worse and worse. So on September 6th, he asked to be transported to the New Jersey coastline, where he could hopefully recover because of the cool temperatures. Now the only problem was that there wasn't any rail on the place that he wanted to go. So what happened next was truly incredible. All the people of Long Branch, New Jersey, where Garfield was scheduled to arrive, built train tracks. And in the span of 24 hours, they were able to build a half a mile of train tracks so then Garfield could visit there, because they wanted Garfield to have a smooth ride and not have to ride a bumpy horse and carriage all the way to the coast. Unfortunately, though, the coast did not help Garfield that much. The heat was still oppressive, and Garfield continued to suffer. And 13 days after arriving, on September 19th, 1881, Garfield died. Now the question remains, could Garfield have been saved? And the short answer to that is yes. There was a technique developed by Joseph Lister that used antisepsis, so that would prevent infection in the body, and Garfield could have survived. By the 1870s, Lister's techniques were known throughout Europe, and they were widely used. The core principle of Joseph Lister's technique was that infection spreads through germs. But in America, people believed that germs didn't exist, so therefore they denied Lister's theory. Now luckily, after Garfield died, Lister's practice of using antisepsis became commonplace. And we learned for the future generations that that is how to treat infection. But the big question is, what happened to Charles Guiteau, the man who shot President Garfield? Now at his trial for murder, Charles Guiteau, a very mentally ill man, said something that was sane. He said that even though he shot Garfield, he did not kill him, that it was his physicians that killed him. Now Guiteau was absolutely right, but Guiteau was still put to death, and he was hanged on June 30th, 1882. Even after Garfield's death, the Secret Service was still not implemented. Even though the Secret Service was created in 1865, the first president who used Secret Service protection was in 1894 by Grover Cleveland. And even he didn't want to use it because he thought that it made him look weak. If Secret Service had been around, Garfield may have survived. If modern medicine practices were around in that day, Garfield would still be alive. He could have turned out to be an amazing president, but instead, his life was cut short by a barbaric man. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and also to subscribe to this channel. And comment down below for any video suggestions that you have for next time. Also, I have one other video on Tulip Mania, so the link will be in the description for that. See you next time.